All right, this is going to be the first of two videos about relative age dating and absolute age dating for the reteach. The way that this is going to work is video number one will have the basics about relative age dating along with the most missed questions. Video number two will have the basics about absolute age dating along with its most missed questions. After you finish one of the videos, you can use that information. Not have it in front of you, but use that to prime your brain space um, before you take the quiz. When you're taking the quiz, obviously no notes or anything like that out in front of you. Also, obviously, I can't check around you since we're doing what we're doing right now. So we're making the best of it, and we're trying to keep ourselves academically honest in the meantime because eventually you'll need to know this stuff. Um, Without further ado, let's get started on relative age dating. Relative age dating, first of all, is not about finding out how old something is. It's about finding the order that events happen. So you're saying this is the oldest, and this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and this is the youngest, or this is the most recent. We're putting the events in order. Like these four layers of rock, we can put order and say that D is the youngest and A is the oldest. So an A, B, C, and then D was the most recent event. This most recent event, it is on top. It is the youngest layer. It is on top. Superposition. The top layer, the top position, is the youngest. Youngest layers are on the top. Oldest layers are on the bottom, would be the extension of the law of superposition. Now, if you have something happen like this, then that event is going to be the most recent event now, because that event cuts through all the other layers, which is related to the law or the principle of cross-cutting relationships. The cut must be younger than the material that's being affected by the cut. The material that's being cut must exist in order to be cut. So the law of cross-cutting relationships, the cut is younger than the stuff being cut. Law of superposition, the youngest layers are at the top. We can use these to figure out the order of events within a set of rocks. Last thing here, that most recent event, the igneous intrusion. Those are two vocabulary words. Igneous is one word, intrusion is the other word. Igneous means that it's forming from the crystallization of lava or magma or melted rocks. Intrusion means that it moved through or intruded through, like an intruder would move into your home without permission or move into a country without permission or something like that. It's an intruder. Lava has moved into that space between the rocks and it has crystallized there to form an igneous intrusion. Here's another layer of rocks. The youngest layer of rocks here is H, but aside from that, we can say that that's the youngest here and that's the youngest there, but we can't compare between the two locations without more information. That information is provided by fossils. The fossils that are going to provide the best information are index fossils. Index fossils are the fossils that occur for a short period of time in a lot of places. If you see the same index fossil in different locations, you know that the age of those locations is the same. So in this instance, layer C and layer E are the same age, even though C occurs at a higher level than E. If you see the same index fossil, you know that those rock layers are the same age. Now, let's mess with this pile of rocks. Instead of doing the igneous intrusion, we can do the other cut in cross-cutting relationships, and that is a fault. If the fault makes the rocks move up and down, see how E is right here and E is right here, or continues right there. That means that this layer has moved upwards relative to this layer. This layer has moved downwards relative to this layer. In either case, this is a dip-slip fault, meaning that there is a break in the rock with up and down movement. Remember, when you're looking at these cross sections, that it's a cross section. That means it's a side view. That means that you're not looking at it from left to right or up and down or north and south. You're looking at this from the top, from the surface to deep underground. It's a side view. It is a cross section. That's important to keep in mind because the last one doesn't show up very well on it, which is a strike-slip fault. A strike-slip fault won't have up and down movement. A strike-slip fault is going to have a side-to-side movement, left or right movement. It's going to have horizontal movement. It's not going to have vertical movement. So that's your strike-slip fault. Yeah, where's the rest of this stuff? All right, this is the end of the notes for this part. So now let's move on to the most missed questions. For the most missed questions, we had 3 most missed questions, 2 of which almost half of students got them each wrong, which was shocking. Question 8, we had 64% of students get that correct, and everything else was at 70 to 75% or over. So we're going to focus in on these 3 questions and take a look at how to answer these and how students got them wrong. So first of all, we have a relative age dating problem laid out for us based on this diagram, which is true. So let's just check these out. U is the oldest. Well, U appears to be an igneous intrusion that cuts through everything. If it cuts through everything, then that means it's the youngest. So U is the youngest, it is not the oldest. Now the second one, Z, is the youngest. Well, U is the youngest. If U is the youngest, Z can't be the youngest. Z is right here and it's getting cut by U. So that's wrong. T is older than S. T and S. T and S. Let's see here. We've got T because S has got the polka dots, and then T, and then S some more. So that means that T is cutting across S. And so T must be younger. And this is saying older, so that doesn't work. X and Y, X is directly underneath Y. So this is very straightforward to me. X is underneath it, Y is on top, Y is on top. That means Y is younger. That is the law of superposition. That is the solution to the problem. X is older than Y, period. Next question is the same question. It's another relative age dating question. Here we've got rock layers A, B, C, and D, and we have igneous intrusion E. So let's look at the order of these things. It looks like D is at the bottom, A is at the top. That means A is the youngest and D is the oldest out of these layers of rock, A, B, C, and D. All right. D is the oldest, then C, B, and A. E is cutting through D, C, and B, but not A. That means that E is younger than D, C, and B, but not A. So the full order looks like it would go D is the oldest, then came C, then came B. Then all 3 layers were intruded by igneous intrusion E. And then last up was A, is most recent. So first is old, last is recent. D, C, B, E, A. That's it. First try. Let's make sure the other ones are wrong. First event was A. A is the most recent, so that's not it. First event was E. E is the second most recent. It cuts through all these things, so that can't be it. And then A is the most recent again. Or sorry, A is first, so that's the oldest. A is the most recent, so that doesn't work. So B and D are right out. C also out because this intrusion is going through multiple layers. Moving on, I was really surprised this was a most missed question, but I know what happened. Here's what happened. You're reading the question, you read metamorphic rock, and you're like, oh no, we don't know what a metamorphic rock is. So if we don't know what the metamorphic rock is, then maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe we need to look at the rest of the question. If we look at the rest of the question, we see an intrusion of igneous rock. Well, an intrusion means that the igneous rock is cutting through rocks. So that means that the igneous intrusion is younger than the rocks it's cutting through. The igneous intrusion is older. This is not right. No, it's younger. The rocks are the same age. No, that's not right because The igneous intrusion is younger. That means the metamorphic rock must be older through process of elimination. I mean, these are wrong. But also the metamorphic rock is being cut, which means it existed first, which means that it's older. Those were the three most missed questions. I hope that this is helpful.